I'm back. Self-development part two. Self-development part two. I told you today it was kind of a special thing. I just completed a special edition of Morning Manna because today is International Women's Day. International Women's Day. And I really wanted to make sure that we lifted up women leadership, today. And I also wanted to make sure that I did my typical morning manna. My typical Friday morning manna is to give you the trailer of my sermon on this coming Sunday. And so I wanted to do both, and I didn't want them to clash together. So did one, and now I'm back. And I want to pick up on what I shared on yesterday. On yesterday, when I was at the headquarters of United Holy Church of America, Incorporated in Greensboro, North Carolina, and I talked about self-development and spiritual formation. Well, I want to continue that right now. Self-development. Self-development. I'm going to greet some of the Manna fam on this morning. Now, if it's your first, second, or third time joining us, please let us know who you are, where you are, so we can shout you out, invite you to our community. We do this 8 o'clock Central Standard Time every weekday morning, and we're glad that you are part, and we want to shout you out. Now, what I'm going to do is give you the text, the talk, the takeaway. You give your comments in the chat area so others can get the cumulative effect of all of the revelation that you get. Let's say hello to some folk on this morning, on this double dose of morning manna. How about that? Good morning, Brenda. How are you? Joya, how are you? Maritha, how are you? Gloria, how are you? Uh, Pastor Richard, how are you on this morning? Brother Nesbitt, how are you? Diane, how are you? Ella, how are you? Brother Joe, how you doing, buddy? And Pamela, how are you on this morning? Double dose of morning manna. I've already given one manna, and that's because of International Women's Day. I talked about women in leadership. Well, this morning, I still want to kind of jump back and go to what I was talking about on Thursday with self-development. Self-development. Before I get into that, of course, I got to say hello to some more people and then get right into it. Anna, how are you this morning? Tally, how are you on this morning? So good to see all of you guys on this morning. Now, before I go any further, how many of you got the first manna? How many of you got the first manna? Tell me if you got the first manna. And what did you think of that first manna about International Women's Day, women in leadership? Tell me that. Put it in the chat area. Put it in the chat area so I can kind of hear from you. Good morning, Elder Mobley. How are you on this morning? How are you doing on this morning? Did you get a double dose? Did you get a double dose? I kind of want to hear from you and know that whether you did or not. This morning, we continue what we talked about on yesterday with respect to self-development, spiritual formation. Big old PhD word. Spiritual formation. I see, yeah, some of y'all got a double dose. Some of y'all got a double dose. Well, let's jump right into the word on this morning. Here it is, self-development, developing yourself, spiritual formation. Put that in the chat area. Spiritual formation. This is what I'm dealing with as I cast vision in our 3-part sermon series on vision and the mission and how it connects us together. And this coming Sunday, and don't you forget, it's spring forward this Sunday. Don't be late for church. Yeah, don't be late for church. Put that clock forward. But at any rate, here we go. Talked about developing. Here is the text. The text is 1 Corinthians 11:28. 11:28. Let a man examine himself. Let a man examine himself. It's a wonderful thing that Paul says there. And that is, he raises this whole thing about don't shirk your responsibility for your own development. Don't put it off on somebody else. Look at yourself and develop yourself. He said, when I was a child, I spoke as a child. I thought as a child. I did the things that children do. But when I became a man, I put those things away. In other words, there was a maturation. There was a spiritual maturation. Goes on to say, look, he says this in 5 and 8, Romans, I believe it is. It says, you mortify the deeds of the flesh. You get it together. Don't put it off on the devil. You do it. In Philippians, it goes on to say that you work out your own soul salvation. So I want to put this together. You have responsibility, but also the church has a responsibility for your spiritual maturation. And you got to match up with the church that's going to bring you to the place in Jesus that you need to be. So from that, 1 Corinthians 11:28, let me give you three quick things that I want you to grab a hold of. The first thing is you got to be reflective. Self-reflection is good. You can't develop if you won't be honest with what you see. How about looking in the mirror? How about looking in the mirror and be honest with what you see? When you look at the ledger of your life, is it positives or negatives? Do you have more investments in your spiritual growth, or do you have less? You're putting time and energy in things that don't grow you. I'm going to give you some things of how they will grow you. Self-reflection. Here's the second thing is this. The second thing is self-motivation. Self-motivation. Trust when I tell you, if you don't motivate yourself, nobody can motivate you. Nobody else can motivate. You have to motivate yourself. You can lay around and say, you know what? I wish I had a great anointing. I wish I had a powerful prayer life. You know what? God is not going to pull the covers off of you. You're going to have to do that. You're going to have to motivate yourself. The third thing is that you've got to check out your balance sheet. You got to check out your balance sheet. I mentioned it a little bit at the beginning, but look at the balance sheet of your life. Is it balanced? Is it balanced? Where is God and where are the other things in life? Are they balancing out? This is just a trailer of what I'm going to teach as we cast vision on this coming Sunday. I hope you'll be a part, 10 o'clock Central Standard Time, and join us. If this bless you, bless somebody else. Don't keep it to yourself. What's your takeaway? Your takeaway this morning is this. Your spiritual formation is in your hands. And because it's in your hands, then join the community that will help you get to where God is trying to take you. The Lord be with you today. His face shine upon you and give you peace. Share this, man. If it bless you, bless somebody else. And I'll see you Monday with more Morning Manna. Have a great weekend. God bless you.